Hey my dears, I am in my sweatshirt and I am ready to make some chicken stock. So we have all been hearing about bone broth and collagen and all those good proteins and all those things that we need, and the best source of that is making your own bone broth, making your own stock. So what I have here is I took a picture of it for you, but every time we eat chicken, preferably organic, free range, as often as you can find it, I throw the bones in a bag in the freezer, or if we happen to have any, like every now and then I'll do some marrow bones or anything like that, I'll just throw them in a bag in the freezer, and then I've dumped all those into the pot of water, and then I've got a big old pot back here you can see, which can fit a few bones and 2 whole chickens, or today I only have 1 whole chicken in there. But the great thing about it is you can totally customize it. So you can do 2 whole chickens, bones and chicken, just bones. You can totally do it in the multi-pot or the Instapot as well. There's a lot of flexibility there, and there's a little bit different way you do it. You just throw it all in, turn it on, and let it go. And I've actually done it in that time twice with the same bones because it just draws out so much of that good collagen. So what I've done is I've put all the bones in the pot, I put the chicken in the pot, and I filled it with water so that the water is covering the chicken, and it's coming on to high heat now to warm up. Once it starts boiling, then I want the chicken, the whole chicken, to go for about 40 to 45 minutes, and then I'm going to pull it out and pull the chicken meat off. Or what you could do is get it to a boil, let it boil for, I don't know, a few minutes, not long. And then we've done this, I've done it Sunday morning, and then I'll turn it off and then let it sit for a few hours while we go to church or whatever. And then when you come back, pull the chicken out, and the meat is delicious. It's like so juicy and moist, and it'll come apart easily because it's just been sitting in that warm bone broth bath. But I'm going to do the slightly faster way today. So I'm going to show you. So I've got that going, and it's heating up, and then I'm going to let the chicken go, like I said, for about 40 to 45 minutes. And then I'm prepping all the other stuff that I want in there. And this is an opportunity to just get any kind of nutrients, flavor, whatever you want. You can also totally do a vegetable stock, but you're not getting all the benefits of the collagen and stuff from the bone, from the soft cartilage. So the basis is mirepoix, onion, celery, and carrots. And then you have a lot of flexibility here. So you could add some parsnips. I've got a fennel bulb. And I'm going to use this fennel for something else. So, there you go. I'm going to use this fennel for something else, but these little fronds, there's flavor in there. So I'm just going to cut those off, and what I'll show you is I've got my bowl here. I'm just going to start dumping it all in here. I'm going to cut these off and use these to help flavor my stock. You could also do, your parsnip peelings or just Indian peelings, or if you have kale and you don't eat the big stalks, you could throw the kale stalks in there and extract all those good nutrients. And now I'm going to use my fennel for something else. What else? Oh, mushrooms. So I don't necessarily like the woodiness of the mushroom stems and everything, but there's a lot of good flavor here. So I just kind of wipe the dirt off and throw the stems in. Or you could also, every time you're making like any kind of a soup with mushrooms, is warm your stock and add this, warm your broth and add the mushroom stalks to it, and it'll give it that extra mushroominess. So I'm going to pull all those off and throw it in. And then I've got my herbs. So I have one of those nice big old bay leaf wreaths from Williams-Sonoma. I get one every year. I love it. I love the way it smells. And then I pull bay leaves off it all throughout the year. And so I've got a whole bunch of those. I mean, this isn't exact, like maybe 10 or 12. And then let's see, I'm going to take a moment and prep my vegetables. Oh, I forgot. Onion skins have a ton of nutritional value. So I'm going to cut off the bottom part because, I don't know, if there's any dirt in there, I just don't like the little bit. So throw that in my compost. But otherwise, I throw, and you can tell this is a very rough chop. I throw the entire thing, skins and all, into the bowl, which is going to go into the pot later, and I'll show you that. One of the reasons that I don't add my veg now is because I found that when I'm doing the whole chicken, it's kind of like the chicken skin, it's kind of hard to dig it out when all these bits are floating around in the stock. Come on, little skin. So I just cook the chicken. As soon as I pull the chicken out, then I will add, the veg. So So I'm gonna prep all my veg. Oh, the celery, this is a great time to use kind of those outer pieces of celery that don't look so pretty but are still perfectly good. So pull those off. And this is not, there's nothing about this exact. I have washed it. Pull out the bottom icky parts. I don't know why, I don't like the top parts either, so I'm just gonna cut those off. And huge rough chop. This is all gonna be going for about 8 hours. It's gonna break down to nothing. And then the carrots, I've given these a good wash, but I haven't peeled them because there's, you know, nutrients and stuff in there. This is just stock filled in, but I have washed it and I've given it a scrub with a vegetable cloth. So I'm gonna cut the tops, bottoms, and then same with this, kind of a rough chop. Okay. Oh, and for any herbs that you want, oh, and garlic. And I don't have any whole heads of garlic. Otherwise, what I would do with that is I would just cut straight through, like if here's like the little garlic head, I would just cut straight through the middle of that and throw the whole thing in, because same with the onion skins, there are a lot of onion skins. I don't have that, and I'm making pickled garlic later, so I just have one of those big old tubs, but I'm gonna take a big old handful of the garlic and throw that in. Okay, and you can see that within moments, I have a bowl full of my veg ready to go. Ooh, sorry, the onions are a little, give me a weenie. Okay, parsley would be great in here. I've got some leftover thyme, so I am going to throw some thyme sprigs in there. I might go out, I've got some herbs still going outside, so I might go grab some rosemary and put it in. But this is really all optional. You can customize this broth as you want and kind of with what you have. That's sort of freeing. It's really the basics are the bones and the mirepoix and peppercorns. But whatever you have, go for it. And you're getting all the benefits, all the nutrients and stuff from all that. Okay, and then peppercorns. I always throw in peppercorns and just a nice, like a nice good handful. You see? All right, I'm gonna wait for my chicken to go and I'll show you what it looks like when I pull the chicken out. Thanks. Okay, so our chicken has been going in here for, well, it's been a little bit over 45 minutes. So I turned it off at 45 and then I've let it sit because I had something else to do. So I was gonna tell you another little tip is skim the foam off as it comes. And then if the chicken won't stay submerged, I just took the strainer colander part from another pot and I just set it on the top and the broth comes up and it's totally fine. So I'm gonna use my lid to put that on. That's not very stable. Set that there. Okay, now pulling the chicken out. If you have big tongs, this is helpful. You should know that the chicken's done when it's kind of falling apart as you try and pull it out. So doing this carefully. I've got my cutting board and my surface right here that I'm going to use. I found the best way is if you go one end of the tongs in through the breast. And that's kind of the sturdiest place to hold it. And actually the legs are oops, the legs fell off. And I picked the chicken up that way. Try and get, See, I told you this was messy. Be careful. Try and let as much of the juice flow out as you can, because this is hot. Okay, and then when much is dripped out, I transfer it over here and kind of break it open so it starts cooling as much as possible. And I've got 2 tongs that I'm working with here. Now you could totally let this cool all the way down, but I want to get the bones back in to keep my stock going. So now I gotta go fish for the legs. And this is the one where I was saying, like, if I've got all the bits from the vegetables in here, it's a little bit hard to find these things. You kind of have to go fishing around. So I've got the 2 legs. Oh, the tailbone part just fell off. But it's nice and moist. Okay, I'll make sure all that's in here are just the bones. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the meat off of this and put it in one container. And then as I pull up the bones, I'm just going to throw them back in here. I'm going to get this back on the stove and let it keep going, but I'm also going to add my vegetables. Okay, so I've got all these vegetables here and adding them all in. So that's a lot. I'll show you, the pot is full, but without the whole chicken in there, it fits better. Get all that down. Okay, get this stock back on. Come on. And then what I do is I take my 2 tongs together and I work and I pull the chicken apart. So I'm just trying to get the bones off and the bones back in. And I've put the chicken skins back in too because we need all that collagen and stuff that's in the fat that's in the chicken. So getting those back in, making sure there aren't any bones, and then I think the chicken stores a little bit better if you leave it whole. You don't shred it yet. You can do that later. Also, it shreds a little bit better. You can chop it up easier. Well, it shreds a little better when it's warm. It just shreds into pieces, but it kind of keeps some of the moisture and stuff if it's whole. So it depends. If you're going to use it right after this, if you're going to make chicken soup or whatever for dinner, then you can go ahead and shred it up now, or just throw it in the bowl and worry about it later. So here I am. I'm going to finish. There's some skin, so I'm throwing the skin back in, pulling off all the meat. I'm going to get all these bones back in the pot, and then I'll show you the next step. Oh, don't forget these little nuggets right here. So this is the tail. This is the tailbone. Right on the back down here, there are these little nuggets. Those are delicious. That's the best part of chicken, so don't forget those. Hey, so it is the next day, and giving you the update on the bone broth. It went for, I don't even know, like 6 to 8 hours yesterday. And then normally I would do this step at the end of that day, that 6 to 8 hours, but it was late, I didn't have time. So what I did was I clamped the lid on the whole pot, and I either put it in that outside refrigerator, or because it was cool enough outside, I went and put it on the bricks out on the patio with the lid on, covered, and it let it cool down overnight there. You don't want to let it sit out on the stove all night though if you're going to do it. But then I pulled it in, took the lid off, brought it back up to a boil, because you always want to make sure that you're boiling again just for food safety things. No matter where it's sitting, it's a large amount of a protein heavy liquid. It takes a long time to cool down, and then it's going to take a while to heat up. But basically, so brought it back to a boil, let it go a little bit longer, but you want it to be this dark color. And I'm going to bring it over. So this is my huge pot here. And as I was showing you, I put the little strainer from my other pot in to help hold down all the goobers, make sure that they're actually in the stock liquid. So that was sitting on top, so I'm going to pull that out. I'll go put that in the sink. Hang on. Woo. Okay, now this is a step. If you need some help, ask for some help. Otherwise, just do it carefully. Obviously, this is a really big pot. If you have a smaller pot, it's not as much of a problem. So I have here, you could use a large bowl. I have a Lexan container, which holds 6 quarts of liquid, so that's perfect. I have my regular colander, and I've got a piece of cheesecloth here, which is going to catch all the little bits. And you could strain these separately if you wanted. Okay, hang on, make sure that's all right. Okay, now, carefully lifting with your back, we're just going to start pouring all this liquid in. I totally forgot to say, you can see all the good stuff down there. Everything in there should be almost disintegrating. Like, you want this to go a good 8 hours at least, and you want to be seeing, see this dark color here? Where are the things? Let me lift. Okay, see that really dark color? That's a good sign. So you want that dark color. If you have access to chicken's feet, they look really weird in the stock, I'm telling you. Like, just bury into them. But chicken's feet have a ton of all that collagen, the gelatin stuff that we want. So if you have access to good, like, free-range chicken's feet, throw those in as well. You don't have to look at them. Just poke little nails down in, because I know they're not pleasant. All right, hang on. This is draining. All right, here I'm going to go with some more. Whew, okay. I know there's a little bit more liquid down in the bottom here, and you could also kind of squish it just a bit if you wanted. If you start squishing all the carrots and stuff too much, it'll start discoloring your stock, which if you're wanting the nutrients, like that's okay if you don't care about that. But I'm just gonna let this sit and drain down and pour any last goobers in here. All the chicken stuff I put in another bag and take it out to the trash because it's good. And then when I'm done, when this is all done draining, I'm gonna put this whole Lexan in the refrigerator and you'll see why. Okay, so our stock is done. This has ended up taking a couple days, but the nice thing is that it really is just a little bit of work and then just kind of a long time in the stove or a long time sitting. So it's not too hard. You can kind of start it and sort of come back to it a couple stages like I've done for the video. So I poured the stock into the Lexan and let it sit overnight, and you can see that the fat layer has formed this nice solid barrier on the top, and you can totally skim this off. We've started leaving it because we need those good animal fats. We need all the collagen and the nutrients in there, but it's up to you. Like, it depends on what you're using it for. Dominic does not like this nice heavy layer of fat on top of his soup, so I'll probably skim some off or just mix it in or whatever. But we're gonna pull together a little bit of lunch really quickly. I've got the chicken that was from the stock that I shredded, so we're just gonna do a real quick, like not even a soup, just kind of some broth, throw some chicken in, and then throw some spinach in. That's gonna be part of our lunch. But what I wanted to show you is you can see the nice thick fat layer, and you can just, it lifts off pretty easily, so you can just pull it back. There's all that good fat. And then the test of a good stock is the gelatin effect. So this is the funnest part. You just give it a wiggle. And if you see it kind of bloop, bloop, moving around, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's kind of going whoop, whoop. Then that is the high gelatin content in here, and that means that you have done your job well and your body is about to get all those nutrients. So what I do with it now is I save those soup containers from Chinese food restaurants, you know, when you get soup, or you can buy some, and I freeze those because they're about quart size. And then I can just pull out one or two of those if I'm making some soup. I also am going to put this into some ice cube trays, and then I flip those out and put them in a bag, and then if I'm not having soup on a day, I'll just pull out like 5 or 6 ice cubes and put them in a glass and defrost it or warm it on the stove and drink it. Like, I just drink the stock. I try to do it daily, but I've got a whole bag of ice cubes that I do that. So those are some ideas. I hope y'all, I hope this has helped, and I hope you can see that making your own stock is really easy, really nutritious. And again, we talk about not just eating well, but eating nutrient-dense food. And this is nutrient-dense food. So thank you all so much. As always, share comments and suggestions, any questions, follow the link below if you have any questions about this or anything else. Thank you so much.